Welcome everyone to another edition of 10K Movies. Ryan, as always, joined by Tom and JD. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing good. JD, how you doing?
I'm good. How you guys? Well, I guess just answer that. But I'm great. Got
Pretty
back into the
good.
theater. I was pumped for it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
How were um how were your guys' theater experience? I went on like a what was that, Tuesday? So it was pretty low key. Not anything really exciting or anything in my journey, but that was the first time I was there in a while. But anything crazy happened with you guys?
I went on a Saturday night, so it was pretty packed. Honestly, I went by myself. I'm running into the issue. I feel like every time I go, there's like some rambunctious teenagers. I mean, we were those guys at one point too,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
they're always like talking. There's like eight dudes in a group, and they're always like talking, and it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. So I ran into a group of those type of guys in our theater. But luckily, actually, I was in the very back row, like all the way on the end, and it was like another guy that was there by himself. So like I didn't feel as weird. He was like one seat over from me.
There you
Um,
go.
so that was nice. But it's always weird at the theater because I'm like still laughing out loud, and I'm the only one. So because like, everything's funny when you see it at the theater.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely.
um, yeah, so that was it was good. Nothing too crazy, but yeah. How about you, JD? When did you see it?
Saw it on a Monday night. There was maybe 10 people in the theater, but I changed it up, brought the parents with me. Didn't
Okay.
realize how much parents talk during the movies. Well, my parents, and it wasn't like the whisper talk, like, "Hey, you need a drink or something." It was like, "Yo, San, you cold?" I was like, "Hmm." But it was good. Yeah,
Fair enough.
I
Did it,
mean,
well, not don't spoil it too much, I guess, on your thoughts. Did they enjoy it?
yeah, they did. I mean, you guys know my parents. The profanity was a little over the top. There's some
Yeah.
few scenes. I'm sure you can
Oh,
know one off the
yes,
top of
I
your head.
pinpoint one
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. We knew going in that we were told two scenes. I still don't really know what the other scene the person was talking about, but the one scene was whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good.
Uh,
impressive. I
took
actually
me a
saw it with my
second
mom
to
as well
one
too.
thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
overall,
funny.
I thought I had a good experience at the theaters. I mean, got a large drink, kicked back, and there was not people in there, so I sat like a seat away from my parents, sprawled out. Yeah,
There you go.
it was nice.
Very nice.
Oh
Ryan, you
yeah.
saw it with your mom too?
Yeah, and she enjoyed it. I mean, besides that one scene, I think it's like a pretty good family movie,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. I think so. I mean,
I
it's
think so
got
too.
that, even though it is rated R, which I
That's
didn't,
surprising.
I
yeah,
mean, I would
because
say the first hour has a lot of. I mean, it opens up with cussing straight off the bat, like a lot of F words.
yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, if you're just going, if that word
I will
triggers
say,
R
yeah,
rating, then yeah, it makes sense.
I
But
will say it
otherwise, I
probably
was
should be.
expecting other things to
Yeah, it
happen.
probably should be PG-13. I mean,
I
it
think
does
this
get
is
a
a
little
PG-13 when I think of it.
does get a little descriptive in that one scene, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really the only one where I'm like, okay, I can see it there, but besides that, it's like, all right,
Yeah, besides that, there's definitely been worse rated PG-13.
Right.
for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of it. I picture this movie as a PG-13 movie for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently not.
yeah.
Not at all.
But yeah, I mean, that was I guess we didn't really even name the movie, but if you've been
Mhm.
watching since the inception of this, or even last week, we watched Air. Not I guess all together at once, but we all went to our separate movie theater experiences. So we'll be talking about that today, as well as we listened to 1986 top Billboard hits this past week. So we can kind of get into it as well there. Um, Kind of funny, actually. My mom said this, and I was thinking the same thing during the movie, but it's literally perfect for this because so many of the songs that we have listened to in recent weeks are in that movie. So that like matched up perfectly. Um, so that was like pretty funny. As I was watching, I was like, oh wow, that's funny. Like we literally have talked about all these songs recently. Um, Besides Take It on the Run, I guess, but that would have been asking for too much. But yeah, 1986 was the year we listened to this last week. Um, I thought it wasn't the best again. seems like more of the same, but I have peeked ahead a little bit, and I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel with some good ones coming up. But I guess I can kick it off with my favorite. We were kind of talking at the beginning before we hit record, and I going into this year, once I picked mine, I was like, I think this is the week where at least two of us will have the same favorite, but I don't think so anymore, actually. But my top pick was Your Love by the Outfield. One of my top, I don't know, probably 50 favorite songs ever. I just think it's I don't know, it's just it's a jam. I always am in a good mood whenever it comes on. Perfect summer song too. So yeah, that's what I went with. How about you guys?
I thought I agree. It wasn't my favorite year, and I actually was gonna make a point about the music, like the '80s music. I definitely noticed that big time. Once we get into Air a little bit, I'll share my thoughts. I didn't love this year either, but it also like it hit me a little bit. Like I had a thought about '80s music because like based on these, I fucking hate the '80s. I hate '80s music.
Yeah.
But I realized based on this, I don't know, it just hit me. It's like maybe '80s music doesn't suck that much, but like '80s pop music sucks. Because like I was thinking about that. We're gonna get into like our music we grew up with or like we experienced firsthand. Like we could get to like 2011 and be like, oh yeah, the music was awesome then. And like the playlist is gonna be like Call Me Maybe and
Thrift
like
Shop.
Friday by Rebecca Black and stuff like that. So if you were an outsider, you'd be like, what the hell is this trash?
Right.
So again, that's my thoughts. Maybe the '80s isn't that bad, but based on these playlists, they suck.
Yeah.
And for my pick, there was another Dire Straits song that I love.
Biggest Dire
I
Straits
swear you're
fan
doing it on
song.
purpose. I swear.
Is that what you're picking again?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say we got to get you. I don't know if they're still alive or around, but if they're still performing live, we got to get you in there personally.
Oh, I'd love to see a concert. I'll check their Wikipedia. But that movie was Walk of Life, or that song was Walk of Life. Great one by Dire Straits. I do love Your Love too. Like that's one of my favorites. And I actually almost went with the Whitney Houston song. Shocked me a little bit. But I ultimately settled on Eddie Money. Take Me Home Tonight.
Yeah, that was my second
song
as well. I love that one.
Just a banger. So yeah, I went with that. Switched up a little bit. Got out of my comfort zone. But what about you, JD? What'd you think?
First off, if you want to postpone your trip to Paris, it looks like Dire Straits is playing there November 19th and 21st.
Wow.
Oh, look at this.
They have Paris money?
These are all
British,
overseas.
like.
Yeah, these are all
okay.
overseas. Apparently you can request a show on here, so let me go ahead and type that
And
in.
it's play live on our podcast here.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
$500 a ticket. Sorry.
So Ryan did kind of touch on it. They did think this was going to be the year two people chose the same one. So Your Love, I will say, is my favorite song on this entire playlist. But it's like kind of like Ryan said, it's like just an all-time great song. But the song I chose for this playlist is like a nostalgia song for me. It's You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon. I don't know why. I had a very small playlist in like high school, and it was like one of like 50 songs on it for the longest time. So I heard it a lot, and it just like brought me back.
All right. Yeah, I was not expecting that.
That's one of my favorite songs, actually. I love Paul Simon. I'm a huge Paul Simon fan.
It's got a nice little beat, nice little tune, like
snap your fingers a little bit, maybe bob your head, stomp your foot. It's one of those songs.
Walking at the corner bodega to get a Jones soda. It's a man walks down the street. Like, yeah, I was.
Birds are chirping. I mean, it's.
Did it say Jones soda in there?
No, but I just.
I was gonna say because man,
that would
be
crazy. Yeah,
that would be awesome. I don't know if Jones soda was around back then, but
should
be. I am seeing some pretty fire Dire Straits merch on their website back from their '85 tour. But yeah, I mean, for all the naysay about these years, those are some pretty good songs like that we talked about. The
Yeah.
issue is that there's probably like 10 really solid ones, and there's like 50 that I'm like, this is
There's just so many
horrible.
bad ones. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a lot of songs to listen to each week. 100
Because
songs.
I mean, there are for sure some like, yeah, and like each favorite I pick, like I actually really do like. I'm always
Yeah.
gonna
Oh,
find
yeah.
a song, on one of these years that I like really like, but there is just like so many that it's like next. But like you said, Tom, I am gonna be interested to see like around like 2008 on ish,
Mhm.
if I even like remember some of those songs. Because I've
Right.
never like even looked at like the top 100 of like even during the time. So
Right.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, because
I,
you're so into it. Like it's every song on the radio, or it's at
Mhm.
a bar, or it's at like a restaurant. It's in your face everywhere. You don't want to hear it. So it'll be kind of interesting that like I feel like 2009 I might be like the time where I'm like, oh hell yeah, like these were hits,
I think
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I think once we hit 2000 songs we grew up with, I'm gonna be like, I hate all these playlists.
I think early 2000s I'll probably hate. Like I think I could see the same way. Like I don't know, like some annoying ass songs, like the boy bands era and stuff like that, where it's
Oh, I
like
didn't even think about that.
it's
Yeah,
old enough.
Backstreet Boys and Sync.
Yeah, we're like
Yeah.
it's old enough where it came back around and people thought it was like trendy when we were in college, and it's like no. And now it's like in our face again because we're doing
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
playlist. So
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about there's gonna be a lot that I hate too.
There's gonna
Like
be a lot of
be a lot
songs.
the One
trash.
Direction era.
Anything by Owl
That's right
City or
around
whatever.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
All of it.
Fireflies?
I hate
You
it.
don't like that
I can't,
song?
dude. I
Whoa.
literally
Dude,
almost called that out. That's gonna
Do
be
you
my
remember
pick that year. I
that,
no
like,
guarantee it.
I swear there was a decade, if you turn
I'm
on the
not sure.
radio, I don't care if you're on the hard rock station, they're playing Fireflies. I don't
Yeah, I
care
know.
what's
It was awesome. I was
I love
hunting
it.
for that
yeah.
song.
Yeah.
You
Like,
could
Fireflies-
literally go like scan next station. It was on like 3 at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd be like,
awesome. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah. You're like, welcome back to
Fire-
channel 13, but first, Fireflies. I
Yeah.
just want to know what the
Daily
weather's gonna be,
dose.
man.
The only struggle for Fireflies is that it's probably going to face up with Replay by Iaz.
Yo,
Oh,
So
do you
that's
think?
I'm pretty sure they were around like 09 or 2010. Hopefully they're not in the same year so I can pick them both. But
what about
I like
010?
that song. It talks about iPod stuck on replay. I feel like
yeah.
that had to be before, 2010, back when iPod still existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. iPod Touch was pretty big in 2010. I remember getting the iPod Touch in like for Christmas in like 09, and that was like the shit. That's like when everybody got it. Like,
Yeah.
and then I got an iPhone in like 2012.
Yeah, that's true.
Which seems to be around when most people were getting it. Like some people got it a little bit earlier, some people got it right after, but it was like on average. And that really put the iPod to bed.
Yeah, it was toast.
Yeah. Send it off.
Cool. Yeah, that's some good nostalgia talk. But yeah, so if you are following along with us on that, we'll listen to 1987, I believe, next week.
Mhm.
So yeah, hopefully that's a good one. But looking forward to it. Like we teased at the beginning and last week, we did watch Air. First theater movie of the podcast. Sure, there's going to be more coming up. I did look. I don't think anything like too great's coming out for a little bit. I guess Guardians is coming out the first week of May. But nonetheless, it was a squad choice for Air this week. So I don't know who wants to start us off. Is anyone feeling frisky and wants to get their thoughts out first?
I'll start us off because I think I'm coming in the lowest. I'm gonna start with that. But
I was
also,
thinking, well, I just want to preface, I do think, well, I don't want it to affect the scores, but I think Tom's going to be 1, me 2, JD 3.
I'd agree with that.
So
I
we'll
think I'll be the
see
highest.
what happens.
Not to affect anything,
Also,
but
sorry, this poster's a little blurry, but you get the gist.
yeah.
But I do want to open with Tom. I thought of you during the movie because they play the 80 songs because it's set in like 84 and
Yes.
Dire Straits.
Yes.
Dire Straits got their
Dude,
name out there.
Dude, I
Yeah.
just wanted to say I had no Like literally, I was gonna bring it up. Thank you, JD, so much for bringing that up. I was gonna give you as a pop quiz because the very first scene, like I thought it was still like a preview, and that guitar riff from Money
Yeah.
for Nothing, which I told you guys last
Yep.
week,
Yeah.
check it out. That hit, and I was just like, "Holy fuck!" It's gonna be the best
Yeah.
movie I've ever seen. Like it reminded me of seeing Wolf of Wall Street in theaters, where I'm like, "This is the greatest movie I've ever
Oh,
seen."
yeah.
Yes, that
And
hit.
and they're playing like REO Speedwagon, they're
Yeah,
playing like Billy Squire, like
I'm
it's
so
literally
glad
all
you brought
songs
that up
we
with
were
the
just
Dire Straits
listening
though,
to. I
because that
thought that
was
was
like,
like the timing was perfect.
yeah, it set the tone for that Dire Straits like perfectly. But go ahead, yeah, I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
glad you brought that up.
Oh no, I was pumped like listening to it. I was like, dude, we just listened to all these songs. Tom's gonna love that part.
I wanted to text you guys, but obviously we all saw it at different times. I think I saw it
Yeah.
first. So I couldn't.
All
But
right.
yeah, it's
So
awesome.
yeah. So all right. To get into the rating, I came in at a 37. No, I'm just kidding. I did come in at a 68.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Holy
So
fuck.
well, yeah, I thought I was coming in
Very
low. All right. So don't get me wrong. I wanted to give it higher, but like, all right. This is what it was for me, and we'll get into more of it. Good. So I loved say I love the characters, but I feel like Jason Bateman and Matt Damon weren't really acting that much. They were playing like a very similar character that they always do. Like, you know what I mean? But well, Matt Damon not so much. He plays a bunch of different characters, but and like Jason Bourne and stuff. So no, maybe throw that out. Bateman, yeah. But for me, I just didn't ever feel like urgency in the plot. Like I understand it's supposed to be like a stressful situation, but like the whole time, like I just didn't really it didn't really get me going. Like the plot didn't as a whole. And it didn't really
Hmm.
seem like every time there seemed to be a challenge, like even, they call and they're like, not to get into spoilers, but they're like, they also offered Mike, the red car, the Mercedes. And then like 2 seconds later, they're like, Sonny, we're taking your offer. Like, I'm like, he didn't even let him like think he lost. Like, show us thing like where he's kicking a can on the street or something. But yeah, for me, I just never really like felt urgency like in like I never felt like anything was really going wrong. And then also like when they're talking about, if we don't land Michael Jordan, this whole department's getting shut down. Like, but you don't waste the budget if Michael says no, you still have the budget. So why would you shut the team down? Like you just go get three other guys. So I don't know. There was just like a lot of things that as like a whole plot, I just didn't really feel like negative outcomes were a real thing. Well, it might have been because obviously I know what happened. Like Michael Jordan became the biggest brand like ever. But yeah. So for me, it was just like it was just a good sports movie for me. Well, sport-ish true story for me.
Mhm.
But I knew
Wow.
after I watched it. I mean, I gotta watch it again. I know I'm going to, but I knew after I watched it, I was like, I'm gonna be way lower than like everybody else.
I didn't think it was gonna be this lower, which like again, I mean, I thought honestly this was gonna be the one or a similar one where we're all kind of on the same page. I mean, I'm way high. I'm not gonna lie, I'm way higher. I see
Oh no.
what you're saying on some
Walking
of
out
it
of the
for sure.
theater, I literally knew this was gonna be. Well, I think I texted you guys when I walked out. I can't wait to talk about this
Yeah, I thought
because
it
I
was
knew
opposite.
I knew the discrepancy was gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
So
now I'm
yeah,
thinking I'm the highest actually, but
yeah. So that's my 2 cents, and we can break it down more as we get into it. But whoever wants to kick us off next,
I
you
can
go.
go just because I'm next on the list here. But yeah, I don't know. I personally thought Bateman stole the show. Like I loved him in this. I can kind of see like he is kind of like that
Yeah.
sarcastic kind of witty guy and basically everything. I definitely see that. But in this, I think there's a little bit more in his performance here where I was like he was my favorite character in this. Um but even besides that, like, obviously love Jordan. I mean, I think it's insane his like story and then just like especially after watching the last dance and everything, like it's just he's awesome as far as like competitor and everything. Terrible owner, but besides that he's great. um
To be fair, they were kind of
and
trash before he got him.
that's true, yeah, but I mean damn.
Yeah.
It didn't get any better. Nonetheless though, like I liked how they did the story, and I talked to Tom about this. Like I think we're for the most part we like similar movies to this where it is kind of like a biopic. And now like you throw sports in the equation, even better for me. I think it's a super interesting story. And I wasn't planning on admitting this. I kind of teared up at parts of this movie. It hit close to home, and Also, I don't know, like I was getting like chills and stuff, especially with like not spoilers, but Matt Damon's like speech in the
That was
what's it
great.
called in
I
the
guess great.
boardroom. I
Yeah,
was
in the
like, holy
boardroom.
fuck!
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, God damn, I want to go fucking play.
Yeah. Sign
But
me, please.
yeah, it was also really it boils down to this. Like, I gave it a 90. I am like 90 and above for me is like I don't see anything wrong with the movie in my viewing experience. Um, but to raise it or lower it, it's like the other movies in there, like, I'm gonna, adjust it based on those like that. So basically every other movie from 90 and above for me, I for the most part have liked better than this, but at the same time, I couldn't really find anything I disliked about this movie, and I still really enjoyed it. So, um, yeah, that's what I landed on.
Wait, before
Yeah.
we get to Tom, I would like to adjust mine to a 70 because I always say a 70 is like a rewatch. I'll rewatch it any time, and I would rewatch this at any time.
All right.
Because like we talk about, it's like the biopic, and I like sports movies and stuff, and I like the
Mhm.
cast, like as far as like actual actors go. But like I would rewatch this at any time, just given the story. But as far as a movie, I was just
It's fair. I think your hand was off the chess piece, but we'll allow it.
yeah.
JD adjusts to
Well,
70.
I know I've said that before. We were 70s. I would watch it any times, and I was thinking
That's
about that. I
true.
was
That's
like,
true.
I
Yeah.
gotta bump it. I gotta bump it up.
All right, Tommy, let's close it out here.
All
What did you
right.
think of it?
I'll take it home. So oddly, like, dude, this is a complex score for me, I would say. So I'm way closer to Ryan. But I actually agree with a lot of points that JD made. So I know that
Let's
sounds,
go, Tommy.
yes, I know it sounds like kind of a contradiction, but I, but the way I felt, like, so watching the movie, I absolutely loved it, like, first time through. And like, as I left the theater, I gave it a 93. So I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna stick with a 93. But like afterwards, like when I got home and like the next day, I was thinking about it a little bit more. And that's where I agree with JD a little bit more, where it's like it's not like complete knocks on the movie. Like it's not, again, it doesn't like detract it, and it doesn't make me think this movie was bad. But like similar to what JD was saying, not quite like I'm not quite as critical of it, I guess, but I would say like it could have given, like, again, not like in a bad way, because I think it was good pay, like it could have just given me more, where it's like you were saying, JD, like you're trying to get Michael Jordan, which obviously becomes the biggest thing ever. And you've got like no stars on your roster. Like I just feel like they could have gone into more of like planning for the pitch, and like the pitch itself, like I don't know. I feel like if you're ever on like a big business meeting and like a huge clients like coming in, you expect this to be like, it's like I expected like when Michael Jordan came to Beaverton, Oregon, like I thought that was gonna be the climax of the movie. I thought that was gonna be like the meaty portion of the movie. And like they kind of get the, and obviously it's based on a true story. So like you can't change it up too much. But like, the Jordans kind of walked in, it's like, hey, how you doing? Good, how are you? And then, obviously Phil comes in and they kind of like start the video, and then, he signs. So it's like, I just feel like that there had to be more to this, like more to this story, like you said, JD, like that could have just made it a little bit more intriguing, just a little bit more buy-in, like a little bit more of like, yeah, this is like we got to sign him or we lose the department, or like we all lose our jobs, we all whatever.
Yeah.
Like I know there was the Jason Bateman scene, he's talking about like his kid
That was
and
a
everything.
favorite scene.
Yeah, it was a good scene. But I really liked the movie. Like we said, I like the biopic. Obviously, I like sports. I like business movies. I read Phil Knight's book, so like I already knew the Nike story was really pretty interesting. So I knew a little bit about Phil Knight. Cast I think was great. There's obviously not a ton of characters, and I like how they kind of played into like the '80s pop culture, because I mean the Money for Nothing Dire Straits intro was so fun. Like
I
I'm
heard that. I
glad
was like,
you.
I
Tom
was
had
like,
it at a
Tom's gonna lose
93
it.
right now.
Yeah, dude,
Literally, I
it
had
started at
100.
100.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had 100 that came down, so I had to taper it off. But I liked like the '80s. Like I was gonna mention this too, and I feel like now's a good time to mention it. Where, like you said, Ryan, we're doing the '80s for music right now, I feel like none of us like love it, but the 80s music in this movie like slapped. Like every song was like I thought, which really I think added to the movie. But yeah, like there wasn't. I just felt like there could have been a little bit more, and that's. But like again, I want to focus on the good because I did love it. Thought the story was great. I thought Sonny Vaccaro, like just the who he is as a person, like that character was super interesting. Like the fact that he was kind of like an unknown, like I mean, unknown at like Nike for the most part. Like you didn't really get his like thing. Like they knew he was a scout, but I couldn't tell like had he worked at Nike for a while. Like it was hard to tell. But all you knew is like he could go in Phil's door at any time. So like Phil obviously brought him in personally, respected him. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I thought Sonny
and that he had layovers in Vegas all the time.
That was the first scene too. Like that was part of the for nothing like intro that I was like, dude, this movie's gonna be off the rails. Like this is gonna be a Wolf of Wall Street basketball type movie. It obviously wasn't. But yeah, and again, I don't think it was like boring in any way, but I just feel like there could have been more, like kind of like you said, JD, like could have been more drama with the whole situation because like there was going back and forth with the agent. There was going back, like Phil at one point was just like, no, if it comes, like I just turn him away. It's like, yeah, it's so stupid. So it was good. I just feel like they could have, like, this is such a unique story, and like to get the rights to it, and like to get Jordan to sign off on it. I mean, I just feel like you could have dove like one layer deeper, or maybe added some other layers that maybe they weren't seen, but like also it's based on a true story. So like maybe this is what Jordan said, this is how it went down. Like this is the best way to do it. So it was good though. I still loved it with all that. I just feel like there could have been another element to take me up to like a 97, 98. Like it had that potential.
I agree. But first I want to point, I thought about this as you were talking about how like the 80s songs were bumping there. And I think maybe if you put it in like the 80s setting, it actually like it has a different feeling to it instead of just, listening on the way to work or working out or what, wherever we listen to our playlist at. But yeah, I rarely feel like I say this about movies, but I think it should have been longer.
Agreed.
Most of the drama, I mean, came in under maybe like right at 2 hours or so.
I think it says 151 on.
It's under 2 hours. I was thinking the same thing, JD. I don't say that much, but this could have been 2:30. I would have been fine with it.
Yeah, I just feel like there's more. I won't even say character development, which is what I feel like I usually say. Like the characters, I liked them. Like Tom said, Sonny. Like I love one of my favorite scenes actually is when they're in the boardroom at the very beginning. Like, who do you like on this draft? All right, top 5 are gone, but he's like, I like Mel Turpin. They're like, what do you like about him? He's like, he's got great vision. He had 15 assists last season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was just like a hilarious scene.
Yeah, he's basically saying you don't know ball, like right to him.
Yeah, right. Like he basically said the whole group doesn't when him and Bateman were like, taking a piss next to each other. Or Bateman's taking a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll start with things I did like because I think there's kind of a lot of things I didn't like to unpack. But the things I did like, obviously Nike story, Jordan, love Jordan. He's the GOAT. And all the characters like as actors like actually who stole the show for me was Chris Tucker. When him and Sonny are shooting hoops in his room, he's like, man, you just shot for 30 minutes, made one basket.
Yeah.
I was cracking up. And I love the rush hours and stuff, but yeah, I thought he was great. I thought Viola Davis was great as Jordan's mom. I feel like I don't see her in a lot. I know she's in like the DC movies. Maybe that's her, right? But yeah,
she's in Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
or at least she was one of them. I think it was the first one. I don't know. I didn't see the second.
Yeah, I think she runs in like kind of all those. Phil Knight. I mean, you read his book, Tom. I don't know if he was actually like that, but he seems like a crazy cat. I like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'd like a lot of it. I like is more based on like that it's true. It's about sports. It's about Jordan. But as far as a movie, like there was like a few scenes, a few laughs here and there. I know the scene with the agent was a little over the top, but I thought I was cracking.
I thought that was good. Like,
dude, he's like, I will nibble on your balls. I was like, he is mad.
Yeah, I actually like that actor. I don't think I've seen him in anything, or I didn't recognize him.
He's in Mindy Project.
Is he really?
When I saw it, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, and not to jump too far ahead, but at the end, like how his thing wrapped up when I'm
Mhm.
always a
Yeah.
sucker for that too. Like when the movie's like technically over and then they like put the words on screen shit. I
Yeah.
love it.
And they show how I did love that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know who that agent reminded me of was the well, not in like the way he acted really, but like just the way he looks was this Swiss banker in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh,
Just kind of like,
okay. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're just in suits in big offices or whatever, but like, I don't know. He just resembled him.
To compare it to a movie that we watched recently, I think it was either the last one or the one before, Rush, kind of
Okay.
reminds me of like when James Hunt says like Nikki, like, sometimes it pays to have people like you or whatever. And
Yeah.
he's kind of like the opposite, or he's kind of takes like Lauda
Mhm.
approach, the agent does, where like he's just gonna, make deals and everything for his clients, and he doesn't care who likes them. And
Yeah.
clearly,
He
I
doesn't
mean,
care if
he's
anyone
alone,
likes
but
him. He's gonna eat dinner
yeah,
alone. Yeah.
that's what I thought of when I saw that. I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Kind of reminded me of
Uh,
Ari Gold from Entourage.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty spot on.
I
I feel
was
like that's
thinking of
every
him.
agent.
Yeah, I was thinking of him. I mean, this is so off topic, but do you think like for a role like that, do you think he ever like either misses being able to like, because I'm sure he's not like that in real life, but like he's so over the top, like yelling and shit all the time. Like, do you think he ever like misses or like alone in home or something? He like just does it, like flashes out or what? Because that's crazy. Like I can't imagine like doing that show and he's like awesome on it and in
Mm-hmm.
that role. But I feel like he can't be like that in real life. I just wonder if he's ever like, man, I kind of just want to yell at someone like Ari does.
That guy is he's actually a comedian now. Like
Piven, Jeremy
Really?
Piven.
yeah, he just started doing comedy like 2 years ago because he like got canceled.
Oh shit.
So good at
Maybe he
comedy.
is like Ari in real
Wasn't getting like
life.
any roles as far as acting goes, so he just like randomly pivoted to stand up.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, no one likes talking about being canceled and how you can't say anything more than
Yeah, comedians.
comedians
Yeah.
who say whatever they want to say. Which I mean, I love comedy, and I think we all do.
Right.
But like for a time there, every single stand-up open with "You can't say anything anymore," and then they would say like the most off-the-wall shit you've heard in like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very
Um,
true.
but yeah, overall, I mean, I still enjoyed the movie and stuff. Not to just get back on track. It's just, I mean, it might have been because it was really hyped up too. Like I was really excited to see this, and I still enjoyed seeing it. But I just thought there was a lot they could have done better.
Hmm. That's almost exactly how I feel. But I still really liked it. Like I thought it was great. I think the same thing, JD. Like I think there could have been more there. Like again, I mean, you can't change the whole like story, but like there could
Yeah,
have been more to like I don't know. I feel like even within Nike, like obviously within Nike, they're interacting a lot. And like
yeah,
I feel like in the movie they were just kind of like, hey, we need more of a budget. Feels like no.
yeah.
All right,
Well,
we need
Yeah.
more of a budget. Feels like no. It's like
so that was one of if we're gonna talk things I don't like, that was one of the big ones for me. So they kept talking about Nike's this $1 billion industry, build it from the ground up, $1 billion industry, 900 million in revenue last year, all this stuff. And they're like, if you lose that 250 grand, I
yeah,
swear to God, you are
Yeah.
out of here faster than like I'm just like, dude, like a 250 grand is like almost like a rounding error to you guys. Like,
right,
I mean, obviously it's a good chunk of money and you don't want to waste business expenses and stuff, but they're acting like the whole company's going under if they
right,
lose it. And so like
Well,
that like I understand that department might have, which I get,
yeah.
and like if if it's historically accurate, I'll give it bonus points. I didn't actually do my research after it like I should have. But for me, it was just like it's hard for me to get on the edge of my seat. Like, oh, don't lose the 250. I'm like,
right.
like it's
Yeah.
just like it's not like the whole company was going down. That one
Right.
basketball division would have, but
That's what I mean, I thought it I mean, I think that makes sense. Again, I didn't do the research either, but just to play like devil's advocate, I guess like I only envisioned it as just that department going down, and that's really all we saw, obviously, besides Phil, who like owns it.
yeah,
But seemed like they had a lot of misses in that department, and they just weren't gaining literally any traction
hmm
whatsoever. So I was like, yeah, I think that's believable. That like, if they miss here, like you said, I mean, they, sure could have signed other players, but also I don't. It
Melter.
seemed like before that was fully signed, like those players kind of were getting picked up already. So it's like, all right, all our eggs are in one basket here. If we don't get Jordan, might not really get anyone at this point. Um, And that's just how I envisioned it, at least. So I was like fine with it.
Well, and I agree with that too, but like, so, I mean, and obviously this goes into like a whole different level of like business philosophy than it does anything else. But like, say you don't sign any of the top players, then you pretty much just save that 250 budget. You can put it back into like marketing the current players you have or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is, I mean, obviously not what you want to do. You want to get the newest guys. You want to hold them for their whole career as to become legends and stuff. Like, I get that. But I mean, just for the majority of the movie, well, also like Tom mentioned too, we barely saw the Michael Jordan scene, and pretty much after that, they pretty much call him and say, "Hey, we'll do it if you give us a percent of the share." Which I knew that was coming because obviously, like, I knew MJ was a billionaire on billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, it was just like hard to get on the edge of my seat because there was not really a ton of like half the time they're just working in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know
Pretty
what I
sick
mean?
office though.
Oh yeah,
That
Mm-hmm.
it
was
was
all I
cool.
know. It's like that looked like I really don't want to go back to working in the office, but if it was at that office, I think I'd be
Oh,
down.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Also another guy I liked, the shoe designer,
Oh
Peter.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
loved him.
dude, he was cracking me up a little bit. I liked him. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, so just yeah, like, pretty much the whole movie, like I think someone else said this, maybe Tom, just like feels like, hey, we need more money. Feels like no, and then like 10 minutes later, like Phil, I need more money. Nope. And then like towards the end, it's like the old Nike days. Let's do it. Like, all right, but like I mean, I don't know, just wasn't a huge like a lot of like suspense or plot build up for me personally.
Right. Well, I was thinking that too, JD, where it's like the 250, like that doesn't feel like anything today, like for a
No.
business. And like I get
no.
it was obviously way more like 40 years ago, which it's crazy that that's when the movie took place. But I guess what put it in context for me was like that the only because that was just like go up to like 300, like
Yeah.
because they were saying like Adidas and Converse
Yeah.
were like only going to 252. So like I'm assuming that was like pretty much like the ceiling at the time for like rookies. Um, which I think that rookies line, it's obviously it was all over the trailer, but like
Oh
it's
yeah.
like that's literally the definition of a rookie. I still
Yeah.
laughed in the theater.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I thought that was by far the best joke in the movie.
I thought that was good.
Um, but yeah, no, I agree with that, JD. I think yeah, I don't know. Again, I still love the movie. I just feel like there's way like they could have made it longer and like added like just a little bit of drama, even like drama about like drawing out the timeline a little bit, where like they kind of found out that Michael did it, and then like even like if they showed the first scene or like they showed a little bit more of like maybe highlights of like his like rookie year because I know they did show some like highlights and stuff, but like showing like the after effects. I know they talked about like those guys all ended up at like Adidas and stuff anyway, which is kind of sad to see. But like, I mean, that was like that made Nike because they showed it in the movie, but like in the book too. Like Phil Knight barely talked about basketball in the book. So it was really just about how he started the company, and then it kind of flashed forward. Like the last scene was like what it is today. It didn't, and it did talk a little bit about trying to get into basketball because they were trying to like sign some Blazers players because I like the local team, but um, it was really just a track company. Like that was it. Like Phil
Yeah.
ran track at Oregon, and he co-founded the company with his old track coach. And they talked about that a little bit in the movie too, about like, oh, we had all the guys in the Olympics, and Matt Damon was like, who gives a shit? And it's like, wow, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Like, draw that out a little bit more. I feel like show Nike's success from like a 360 view. Like, show how they, show how awesome they are at like streetwear. Because like people were wearing their running shoes. Like the Nike Cortez was like the most popular shoe. Like I feel like you could show how much they're like dominating in track and just like in life or whatever. And like, I know Chris Tucker talked a little bit about like how Adidas had the best
Jump
like
shot.
track suits. And like, I don't know. I feel like there was more to like, could have like gone into like the whole 80s subculture of like fashion even more so.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see
I'd
that.
say, I mean, it was still, again, it was still really good. I just feel like there could have been more.
And I do think is a movie. I agree with all of that, and I do think this is a movie. If like say we're hanging out Friday night or whatever, and someone's like, "Hey, you guys want to watch Air?" Like I'm never gonna be like no, unless I watch it like 10 times in a week or something, which I don't think I'm gonna do. But like yeah. So I mean, I think it's a very rewatchable movie. I like the true story. It just, and I agree with Tom, but also to play devil's advocate myself, I don't know what else they could have did.
Right.
I feel like it was.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I think Ryan might have touched on this, when Bateman's talking about how he buys his kid Nikes every Sunday when he gets time. I think there could have been, this probably a better way. There could have been more heartfelt moments. Like there was a few, like the Nike or the speech, and giving his daughter Nikes, but there's really not any like love interests. There's not really any relationships between characters, like they don't change at all, at least. I mean, they kind of act like they're gonna lose their job, they're gonna go down together, which is, it's nice. But even outside that, you don't even really meet the team, and then they throw the party at the end, like we signed Michael Jordan, and the whole team goes
High five
nuts.
like twice, and then
Yeah, and I'm like, I didn't even know these guys were working here, like in the movie. Like
you know what their
you didn't.
job was.
The only one person you talked to was the girl you thought was the secretary, and she's like, I'm not even a secretary. He doesn't have one. Like, uh, so it's like you see the same few characters. There's barely any relationship changes from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. So it's mainly just, it's kind of just a business movie. Like it's not, there's like not very much personnel changes or relationships,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think, could just be part of it.
Right.
Part of the story that's already there. I'm kind of I mean,
Yeah,
I'm glad they didn't have
well,
any
yeah, and I don't want it to be like some
romantic, at least.
rom-com or
Yeah.
anything. It doesn't have to be, like you get the girl at the end, the classic movie stuff like that. I just would like to see, the relationships ups and downs, even between characters. Really, you just see Phil and Sonny, and then Sonny and the agent yell at each other. But besides that, like every time they saw each other, they could cuss each other out. Next time it says, "How's it going, man?"
I feel like Phil's barely in the movie. Like I'm trying to think like who was even on the screen because like the Jordans are never in it. Like Viola Davis
Yeah.
is on screen for like 8 minutes. It feels like because
Yeah.
like he shows up at the house, they have the meeting, and then he calls her on the phone, and that's pretty much it with the whole Jordans. And then like Phil really doesn't do anything. Like he has like two meetings in Phil's office, and then like the big meeting, and then like Phil goes for a run. That's pretty much it. Like Chris
Yeah.
Tucker's really in it outside of like that first scene.
It really
Kind of
seems
just
like it's a Sunny movie,
it,
which I get. I mean, it seems
I
like he
like
had
Sonny, which
the
I'm fine with that because
most.
Sonny's character was really cool. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had the most, I guess, involvement with it. It seems
Mhm.
like so. It
Right.
makes sense that the other, like even Phil, like you said. I mean, I think you said he didn't really talk about it too much in the book, if at all. So
No,
maybe
not really.
like, you know, I guess he really didn't have a whole lot to do with
Right.
that part of it. Like you said, he focused on kind of like the track anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean, it really is like the Sonny Vaccaro movie,
Yeah.
Mhm.
basically.
Which he
How
seems
it's with
awesome.
Jordan.
Just
Yeah,
a basketball guru, like literally
Right.
started the basketball tournaments that we have now and
Mhm.
stuff. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
yeah.
Um,
One other scene I loved. I guess it was a two-parter, but it's basically it still holds true to literally sports, especially media, how it is now. Is when he was at that. I don't know if it was a gas station or like general store,
Yeah.
but he
Yeah.
oh
like
yeah.
Yeah.
before he signs Jordan,
Those
he's
guys.
like talking. He's like, "Oh, what do you think of these guys or whatever?" And he says Jordan like, "Oh, he's too small," or I don't. He
Yeah.
says the game won't translate or whatever, the NBA. And then of course
At the
after
end.
the rookie year or whatever, he's like, "Oh, I was telling people," and then
Like,
like,
damn, I wish I would have got it.
and that's what I was like, yeah. So it just goes to show, like, even now, like, you can say a take, and then it like the media heads of sports, like I know Tom, you love them, like Stephen A. and Skip, fucking hate them, but like they say so much shit. I know it's their job to just like get a reaction. I just hate that like type, and they can say, and they do, like Howard too. Like they say all this shit, and then no one really calls them out on it. I mean, people call them out on it, I guess, but like they never have to answer to it. Like
No, yeah.
Mhm.
it's
They
just
don't
wrong, and yeah, then no one owns up to it. Basically,
they don't
it's
have to
like the whole
face the
point of it.
music.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Which
Uh,
I like that gas station clerk though. Like
no,
it,
I
nothing
like
Yeah.
the
against
gas
him.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I
station
think he was
scenes.
funny as hell.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
classic, like, right after he gets out of the meeting and they said something about Gonzaga, right?
yeah, that
Mhm.
too. Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, you don't even
Because
know
he
where
knew where it
Gonzaga
was.
is. And then he's like, yeah, Spokane, Washington.
Yeah,
He knew right away.
Yep.
yeah,
Um, and
Uh,
then, yeah,
I
I
like
like
it
that. He's
too.
like, ball.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
he didn't.
No,
Because,
no, he
Right.
didn't.
yeah,
But
but
we
better
thought he
than those
did.
guys in the room at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least he like at least paid attention. His
Right.
takes aren't always great, but he actually pays
that's
attention.
true. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. He at least knows it. Um, But yeah, I think the beginning of the movie started really, really strong. I think that's probably why I have the score as high as it is. Like, I
I'd
think,
agree with that.
like you said, JD, like I think the opening scene where like Sonny's at the tournament, goes to Vegas, is just like, holy shit, this is gonna be sweet. Like it's gonna be
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then like even it kind of leads up and it just shows Sonny's life. Like all he does is like sit on his couch and watch basketball, and then like shows kind of the struggles of Nike. You know, like so like you guys said, like they're in that meeting, they're talking about like they're trying to piece together like these guys that are like the 16th pick and like all this stuff, and like none of them know anything about basketball, like you were saying, JD. That part I was just like, this is awesome.
Which
Like it's all gonna build up, and I think that's again, if I had a something I would recommend, like building up, like I feel like they could have worked on the pitch for MJ more. Because
yeah.
like I did like how Sonny was like, oh yeah, you're gonna meet with Adidas, they're gonna say this, you're gonna meet
Yeah,
with
I like that a
they're
lot.
gonna say this. Like that was cool, but I feel like they were just like they showed that they were like sleeping at the office, but like they didn't actually show the work they were doing. Like I think it would have been cool to be like, all right, we know all this about MJ. Here's how we're gonna go at it. We just mocked up this prototype. We're gonna pay the fines, which I knew that part of the story, which is sweet. But
Hmm.
that is
I feel
sick.
like that could have been the big buildup is like him, Phil, Bateman, and Pete just like grinding away and like building up this sweet presentation and then actually giving the presentation. But again, if that's not how it went down, that's not how it went down. So
Yeah,
I
but
kind
you
of
can
like they
still
didn't do that just because like I want to be like surprised, I guess,
mm-hmm.
with that portion.
I agree with both of you. So like I wish they could have been more like dramatic elements in the build-up, but like I still wanted to be surprised during the presentation. But really the biggest surprise of the presentation was just Damon's speech, which wasn't even
Yeah.
planned.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, Sonny's speech, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but which wasn't even, theoretically planned. I mean, I don't know how it actually went down in real life, but I just feel like so I agree. So Tom said, I think pretty good. The beginning of the movie was great. I think it had a great build up, showing where we're going, and then I think it kind of just stays stagnant until like the end, and then it's like we got him, and that's it. Like,
I would agree.
uh,
Yeah, I
like
think that's fair.
I think like from the time where they're like, we don't know if we can pay him or whatever, and like once that starts happening to the time they actually like pitch it, I think there's like three things that actually like kind of you're like wondering like how this is actually going to go down. It's like when he visits the parents, and then like when the parents like go to the other meetings, which I think was pretty cool. Like, I don't know if he actually predicted it in real life. He's gonna wear a Rolex. He's gonna tell you like we have the coolest stuff, like whatever. I was chuckling when he's like, "Yeah, so what's Adidas gonna say?" And he's like, "Oh, welcome to the." Like,
Yeah.
it's like you could say it normally.
Yeah, you don't enter through the voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think
wish I
that's a
thought it was
really
pretty
good
funny,
point.
but
I, I, I think that's exactly how I feel, JD. Where like it started out like it slammed the gas pedal like out of the
oh
gate.
man,
It
I was
was
getting high school
awesome.
ball. They're in
Yeah.
Vegas, like doing then like talking about other things. They're in the boardroom, and I'm kind of cracking
Right.
up. We meet the agent. The agent's fiery. And then
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like, eh.
Yeah, and I think like Ryan said too, like they had the scene with Chris Tucker that was really good. That was in the beginning. Like I just feel like it had a lot of promise because you're like, all right, I'm already interested. Like you caught my attention.
Yeah,
I'm super into this. Like you said, Ryan, with the Office. Like the Office is cool. They're having these meetings about different players. They have talk with Chris Tucker. Like you kind of understand like there's pressure on the basketball division with Nike. Then I think like you said, JD, I think it just coasts a little bit. Like it's just kind
yeah.
of like calling the agent, like the agent cusses at him. It's like, all right, but nothing's actually like really happening. So I think it kind of coasts a little bit, and then you get to the end where they actually sign him, which is like a cool part of the story. So
Yeah.
um,
I do
yeah.
agree with that. I think it definitely coasts. I think for me, I think maybe since the beginning was just so awesome, I was like fine
Mhm.
with it and just kind of like, this is still sweet. But I do agree. Yeah, like you said, I mean, not really a whole lot happens in that middle part, which is really where more like build up should and
Yeah.
could happen. So I think that's for sure fair.
And I think someone else pointed this out, but like half the time they're working in the office, they don't even show work. It's just like sleeping in the office. So it like shows you're putting in the time, but like we don't see anything. All it does is like cut to like Phil Knight waking up Sunny, and it's just like, hey, you got the budget. It's like,
Yeah.
Right,
all right.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying too. Like their like weekend that they worked there, all it really showed was like them like eating snacks and like, oh, you were here all weekend. He's like, yeah. It's like and like them mocking up the shoe or whatever, but like I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, it's all like hindsight. Like they had no idea how big Air Jordan was going to be. Like,
Oh, definitely
you
couldn't
know, I
envision
feel like
that.
looking at Air Jordan now, back then, like this had to be some super elaborate pitch to win him over. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was exactly how it went down. And like, I mean, obviously they said that Michael Jordan's mom ran a lot of the decisions, and like obviously Sonny won her over and like with trust and everything. So that's really all
Uh,
it took.
One of the more one of the more funny parts too, I thought, was like that very end. It's like, all right, 1%. It's like, what's most we ever sold on a shoe? 3 million. Then the next thing on the screen, it's like they sold 126 million in
Yeah,
the first year.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's
insane.
hilarious. Like, but yeah, I mean, it seemed to take off right away. I didn't realize it was that fast from signing him to literally that much revenue in the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just an insane story. I mean, it's just
It
crazy. And like I
it
loved
is.
how well I did love like during the presentation, I think Tom, you may have said like you were maybe hoping for more like highlights or whatever. I think
Mm-hmm.
it was great. It was like just enough and mixed in while he was like doing the thing. Like that's where I was getting chills like holy fuck, this is sweet. And then also at the end where they talk about um the guy that made the shoe, I forget his name. I know you just said it recently, but
Pete,
Pete,
yeah.
yeah. And he's like he's credited for like doing the silhouette or whatever, and then they show the jump man. It's like, oh
Oh,
fuck,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
That
sick.
was sweet. But yeah, and it was cool because they showed like the pictures of the real people with Michael and
Mm-hmm.
like it seemed like, and I don't know, I mean maybe it's just wishful thinking, but it seemed like he actually like took time and to like get to know him and stuff, which I think that's awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. Um and ending it at the very end, I guess, with the credits with the like Mike commercial. That was cool too.
That's sweet.
I wanted to see the the old Spike Lee commercial where it's like, it's got to be the
Yeah,
shoes. I
yeah,
love that's like one of my favorite commercials of all
I
time.
do love that one
Yeah.
too.
I
I'm also glad. Sorry, Tom. Just one last
oh
thing.
no, go
I
ahead.
love that they didn't show the actor and so like whoever's playing
Right.
Jordan.
Right.
I like I I
Yeah,
I think
intentional.
that would have taken it out, taken me out of it a little bit if they did. Like it just always back of the head, perfect angles every time. It
Mhm.
was funny. I think the only words he actually says are they're Bulls colors about the
Bulls
shoes.
colors, yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember because they briefly, very briefly talk about this in the Last Dance where like why he chose Nike or whatever. And I
Mhm.
think the big part was like it just looked cool. Like the shoe itself looked better than everything. And the line, I forget who's I think Sonny says it, but it's like a shoe is just a shoe until someone steps in
Someone
it. I was
steps
like,
in it.
God,
Mhm.
I eat that shit up. Like any cool like sayings like that. And then his mom throws it back at him. Um, that was awesome too. I was like, oh man, I just loved it. But I know that's more than a few things. Sorry to cut you off, Tom, but
Oh, not at all. No, I was literally just gonna agree with what you said about like how he seemed to really get to like know them and like them.
yeah,
I kind of thought about that during the movie too, because like during the movie, you know, obviously this is MJ when he's like 21 or whatever. So he's a little more shy, I'm assuming, you know, he isn't super open to meeting Nike in the movie at least. But like I was thinking about the last dance and like he is MJ is so friendly to like literally everybody. I mean, he's like
hmm
playing the quarters game or whatever with the security guards
yeah,
in Last Dance, and it's like I think he's the same way with the guys at Nike. I mean, they,
Yeah.
you know, as unbelievable as MJ was, like Nike also changed his life to another degree with like his brand, like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and Matt Damon talked about that in his speech, and that was pretty sick. I would say, like, I got chills during that speech too. Like that was pretty awesome, and obviously it all turned out like all the stars had to align. Like there's just guys like that don't come around very often. And I mean, Nike signed them all. It seems like Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, I'm pretty sure was with Nike.
Yeah.
Obviously MJ, LeBron, Kobe, like they were all with Nike. So,
yeah,
and MJ was the first big guy because I mean, before that, it was really all like track and field people, which
Running shoes, yeah.
are big. Yeah, obviously they're big too, but they can only really compete on the biggest stage once every 4 years. So,
Yeah.
hmm
Because no one's watching like the world championship that happens like every
right.
year or whatever. You watch the Olympics.
right.
Yeah,
Or like
Which not to knock on people going for it.
audiences.
It's just it doesn't get the advertising, doesn't get the marketing revenue, it doesn't get all that stuff.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting, I looked it up when I left the theater, but like a lot of things rank the Air Jordan 1 as like the greatest Jordans that ever came out, and I think it's also the
Mhm.
highest selling,
Mhm.
specifically the Chicago Bulls Red or whatever.
yeah.
Mhm.
Which I thought was really cool, but it's also kind of like you started strong and every single shoe just
Yeah.
never beat the first one. But I thought they were sick shoes, so
I'm sure like well, I don't know if that's that. Like I
I'm not a
think
sneakerhead. I'm also gonna throw
oh,
that
I
out
bet
there.
a lot of people were like, okay, like once he got popular, like gotta have the original. It's like a a rookie card or something for like
Right.
baseball or I guess all sports have the cards, but I think of baseball when I think of trading cards. But
That's
that
true.
I'm sure that has something to do with it. But yeah, that one, I mean, it does look sweet.
Yeah.
I do love the look of it.
It made me want to buy some high tops as soon as I was walking out
Dude,
of the theater.
Yeah.
literally same. Like I've never been like a Jordan basketball shoe guy, but like it's hey, the Jordan ones look so sweet. Because I think like you said, JD, I was thinking about that too, because they obviously have made like Jordan like 16s or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like it's the like the original one. Kind of like Ryan said, it's just like it's nostalgic, it's just like sweet. I also think like I am not a sneakerhead in the slightest. Like, I don't give a
Not.
shit about shoes, but I think it's for sneakerheads. I think they're like it's hard to get like a rigid like they're limited and stuff. Like
Yeah.
sometimes those Jordans can be really rare, and that's how they, it's you just collect them basically.
I had I think I only had two pairs of Jordans ever. One was basketball shoes one year, like growing up middle school or something, and one I just wore as like everyday shoes, and they were like UNC blue, and I loved well like mainly white, but UNC blue on the side. I loved them, but then after that, I just never. I never wore Jordans or like high tops as streetwear.
No, I
I
mean that's the
I
thing.
think they are, and I love Jordan, but I think at least what I've seen in the past like 10 years of the actual basketball Jordan shoes are doo doo.
Yeah,
I do
not a big
not
fan.
like the look of them. I do
I
not think
like
they look good at all.
I like most of the retros. Like if they were
Yeah.
released like 2005 and before, I liked them all.
Yeah.
And then there was like I think about that with like a lot of basketball shoes in general though. Like
Yeah. There's
maybe
not, it's tough to get a good one nowadays, I feel like.
yeah, I
I
agree.
just I think too, like I mean, something I've literally never done is like it was popular. I feel like when we were kids, and it's still popular, but like I don't know, my mom just like was like, no, you're not doing that. Was like wearing like basketball shoes
Oh,
as
just as
like
casual.
your
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I literally just
Well,
Googled Jordan threes because I knew that was another popular one. And I actually really like those a lot too, but like one of the pictures was like someone wearing these shoes in jeans. I'm just like, this like in
yeah.
hindsight,
That's like
as
going
like a
to church in
grown
Jordan.
yeah, as like a
Yeah.
grown adult where like I'm wearing jeans and maybe like a sweater and then I'm
There are
wearing
still some adult or like people
basketball
that
Yeah.
shorts.
wear that like
Oh,
and think it's
100%.
like looks great, and I'm like, I mean, teach
Dude,
their own, but it's like I don't know,
yeah.
that's wild.
Like
Girls get
when
like married in Jordans. It's
dude,
like
Yeah,
like Skip wears
the
Jordans
Jordan
with his
ones too, I
suit.
think.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, I don't know, it's
No,
wild.
Jordan threes just look like what I had.
Yeah, the Jordan threes are pretty sweet. I feel like a lot of people in our hometown had these in like early
Yeah.
high school and definitely
Uh
with jeans.
but yeah, another thing, especially like growing up, like I mean, Jordans were never cheap. Like you're looking at
Mhm.
150 to 200 bucks even back then. So it's like if I wanted to wear that just walking down the street, my mom was just gonna beat my ass.
Yeah.
Like
So yeah, it's true. I'm looking now. Yeah, I've seen so many people have
Yep.
Jordan threes on as just
Yep.
with jeans or whatever,
Yep.
like
yeah.
all the time. They
Jeans
say
and
that.
like a zip up hoodie.
I
Yeah,
don't know how to, and maybe it's just like our style or my style or whatever. Like I actually like the way a lot of Jordans look, but it's just like not something I would wear. Well, not like newer ones, but like it's not something I would wear day to day. It's like if I was getting them, I would collect them. That's it.
yeah,
Like I would never actually wear them.
That's the thing. Like, I don't think I would ever wear like if I had a pair of Jordan ones, I'd be very happy. It'd be cool. But like, I can't imagine one, I wouldn't play basketball in them. Two,
definitely
I
not.
wouldn't wear them. I just feel so one, I just feel goofy wearing those like out on the street.
Yeah,
But like, I'm not at the point where like I want to buy shoes just to take up space. Like if I got
yeah,
a like, holy shit, thank you, dude. Like, if you got them from something cool, like, oh hey, these are like Jordan's wore these or something. Like
I also don't get collecting shoes. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
people collect all kinds
I
of
think that part's cool. I think collecting.
things. Really?
I would just never wear them or anything.
I
So
think if you're
I know
into
that's
it,
just the
if you
only
like
thing.
follow the
Yeah.
styles and you're like, oh, fucking
yeah,
somebody wore this in a movie or whatever. Like
yeah.
the Nike Cortez, that's the one shoe I love.
I know you love those.
Yeah.
They're awesome and they're just like timeless. When I read Phil Knight's book, like that was basically the shoe that like put them on the map. Really, that was like the running shoe. And like you watch movies from the '80s, everybody's wearing those, like Forrest Gump, you know,
Yeah.
Jordan Belfort and Wolf of Wall Street. Like
Forrest Gump ones.
yeah, yeah, literally Forrest Gump across the country, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also was gonna get a take. I wanted to throw your guys' way, unless you guys had anything to add on the shoe stuff.
No, yeah.
No.
I was just gonna add it was Michael Jordan related, because I feel like we all love Michael Jordan, like the three of us do.
Yeah.
I feel like comfortable saying that. I feel like we all think he's the GOAT for sure.
Absolutely.
Here's my take. I was thinking about this like at the end of the movie, kind of when they're showing all his highlights and stuff, and like we've all obviously like consumed Michael Jordan content, like read books about him, obviously watched The Last Dance, you know, heard all the stories, whatever. But I was thinking about this. My take is that we like Michael Jordan more, possibly not having seen him play like live.
We have a friend Mitch who says that because I do not like LeBron, but
Right.
he says if I would have grown up with MJ being as dominant as he was, I would have hated him too.
I have basically a similar point to that. I think because we didn't grow up with Michael Jordan, we
like
didn't.
We like
Exactly. I can remember. I think I was in like first or second grade, and I saw him play a game like on the Wizards.
on the Wizards, yeah.
It was on TV, and I remember I was like, "Oh, that's Michael Jordan! Like he's on the Wizards." And so I remember, like, I probably didn't watch him ever play on the Bulls because I would have been like 4 when he was winning all those championships. But I do remember seeing him on the Wizards, like when I was first getting into NBA, probably in like when I was in like first grade. So I think like with MJ, like we get to see all the story, or we get to hear all the stories, we get to see all the highlights. Like we never saw his like bad games or like games where we just don't get to, like, we never had to take it for granted. We can look back like, holy shit, I would love to grow up watching that guy. And again, it's just a theory because I think I'm with you, JD. I hate LeBron. And I mean, hate's maybe a strong word. He's had such a long career where I've liked him at times when I was a kid, you know. I would say
liked him when he was young.
Yeah.
Before the Heat,
yeah, before the Heat. I would say I'm not a LeBron fan, but I would also say that LeBron is like him and Kobe are like the closest we've ever seen to MJ.
I loved Kobe.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Kobe too, but like even when, I mean, I can confidently say I definitely don't appreciate LeBron, and like I know he's incredible. And like looking back though, like when my kids will probably be like, holy shit, like you got to watch LeBron, and I'll be like, yeah, I did.
No big deal.
And, you know what I mean? Because they'll probably view LeBron similar to we saw Kobe, where they'll see all his stats. They'll be like, oh, he had all these assists, he had all these like he had all these like. And I think another example I think is, you know, and what I was gonna say about that with LeBron, like part of the reason I hated LeBron was when he was on the Heat as a Pacers fan, they had a rivalry. Like Pacers had to always go through LeBron. LeBron always won. I was gonna say, JD, you and I are both Pacers fans. Like, if we grew up in the '90s, I mean, we saw it in The Last Dance. The team that the Bulls were battling with were like the Reggie Miller Pacers. Like, I think there's a world where we might have hated MJ. Like, he was good, but like maybe just been like, dude, this guy gets all the, you know,
he gets all the calls
all over him. All the calls. I think it almost plays to our advantage as far as like the legacy, like the whole ideology of it, not being able to see him. And I think a counterpoint would also be for football. Like, I think Tom Brady is the GOAT. And JD, you're a Colts fan. You hate Tom Brady. You don't
hate him so much.
But it's like we grew up.
I think he's the GOAT, but I hate him.
Yeah, and I just feel like if if we were 10 years younger, we might look back and be like, oh my gosh, Tom Brady, like this dude, like what he did is unreal, but I feel like it's hard to appreciate it when you're in it.
Well, it's
Mhm.
hard to appreciate it
Feels
also
normal.
when the Patriots get caught cheating like 5 different times,
Yeah.
especially when they were like cheating versus like the Bengals when the Bengals were like trash, and I was like, I don't
Right.
understand this.
Or like Tiger Woods. Like, I mean, we know how good Tiger is
Don't
and
even get me
stuff,
started
but
on
it's like
it,
it's
bro.
hard to appreciate. Like
No, I
now I'm
appreciate
able to appreciate how incredible he actually was.
it.
Because like
I
we're
actually
kids, like,
don't
oh yeah,
think
Tiger wins every time. Like that's how it works.
I don't think a human can appreciate Tiger. I literally don't. He's my favorite athlete of like all time, probably.
Yeah. So I don't know what you guys think about that take, the
No,
MJ
I
take.
think that's a fair take.
I think it's fair. I also think LeBron lives in an age where you're allowed to speak on every single topic. Like it's just more media driven with everything being digital. You have your phone with you all the time. And we all know he lies out of his ass
Yeah.
all the time about everything for no reason at all. Even
Yeah.
this week it came out. He's like, I knew when Austin Reeves was signed, I knew that was gonna be my guy. We felt it first practice. I was like, no,
Right.
you, dude. If he
Yeah.
was trash, he would have said, I need more help, and I never wanted this guy. Like
Right. That's so true.
it's just
That's true.
everything he says is just bullshit. And then he's like doing these movies and he's like opening like Blaze Pizza and then he tried to
Mhm.
trademark Taco Tuesday. Like who tries like what? You think you came up with Taco Tuesday? Like come on.
Yeah, that
Uh
was a stretch.
but all
Yeah.
that's like outside of basketball. But yeah, when he was on the Cavs the first time, I thought he was really fun to watch. And then
Mhm.
he just started building super teams and Ray Allen hitting clutch threes to send him to the ship. But it's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's air. We kind of got derailed there, but I think it was all, yeah, I mean, I think that's a natural kind of not a rabbit hole maybe, but
It's a tangent.
yeah,
I
tangent to
mean,
go
you watch
down
this
after
movie, you
watching
have to
one.
talk about MJ.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's it. I mean, a little different than I anticipated, but overall I think what it averaged to an 84.3. So I think that's a fair, like obviously I like it more than that, but I think that's a pretty fair score.
I think that's fair.
Um, as far as where that puts it on the list of all of our others, it's right above Inside the Life of Llewyn Davis, which that's only my rating, so a little scoot there. And then right under Big Daddy. So that's a
Great movie.
very interesting uh combo there. But
Dude,
yeah,
I'm looking. Ryan just has like, what is this, like 8 movies in a row, all ranked
yeah,
84
all
that we have
84.
not touched.
Yeah,
Although I've seen some of
84 is a
these. I
popular
just,
one.
I know some of these I didn't rate originally because I haven't seen it in a while.
Mhm.
But I think that's fair. And I will say with this particular podcast, we talked a lot of negatives with this movie, but overall, it's still a good movie. I said a few times that I'll watch it anytime it comes on, and I'm excited to see it when it comes out of theaters.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
I
fair.
think so.
I want to rewatch it too. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to,
If it comes on like a streaming service I have, for sure we'll throw that on.
I'll
Mhm.
probably rent it on Amazon when it comes out, like the first week. I'm sure it'll be like $5, but
Yeah.
oh, I'll
Yeah,
watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Well,
yeah.
probably watch it already, but yeah.
So that's air. That was the squad pick. So I think Tom, if we're going back to the normal schedule,
Hmm.
you get the next pick uh if you have the homework for us and any listeners that wants to follow along.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna pick this one. It's actually the first movie in a trilogy.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but I'm not saying we have to watch the trilogy because it looks like the other two aren't on a streaming service. Um, so
Is
I
it
don't
The
know what this
Matrix?
is.
yeah, so I feel like we can watch the first one if that's cool with you guys, and then
Yeah.
obviously it's up to you from there. If you wanted to really watch the sequel, we could, but um, oddly enough, a movie I kind of talked about last week. It is on Hulu. It is Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I know
It's not where I
we
thought
all
this
watched
was
these.
going at all.
Yeah, I think we all watched these in high school actually, but it's been shoot probably a good 10 years since then. So yeah, that's my pick. It's on Hulu
Yeah.
for those that want to follow along.
Cool. James Franco.
Yep.
Andy
Franco.
Serkis, who plays Caesar. I think he's one of the most underrated actors because he played like
He-
Gollum and stuff. He always
Lord of the
plays
Rings.
the weird dude.
Played Snoke, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
he was really he's good and
I
he's
think
I don't know what you call that,
he's an
but
unsung hero. He's
he is. He's
he's
got all those I don't know what it's called in the industry, but got all the dots on it to make it CGI.
yeah.
I don't know what that
Mhm.
uh technique is called or whatever, but yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited. I mean, even if we don't watch it as a group, I'll probably end up watching the whole series once we
Yeah,
start it.
I do. Yeah. Well, I'll say my thoughts on it. They're remaking it. I think
Really?
again. Yeah.
I
I
saw
think that
some
was in
rumor
recent
about that or
news.
something.
I don't know, remaking or extending it or what. And it's not the new Transformers movie that's coming out, even though there's somehow apes in
Yeah.
that are machines. If you saw
Yeah.
that preview
I
when you
did,
saw it air,
unfortunately.
man, that looks dumb. But yeah, it's not that. It's different. So
Yeah. Which this one, because this is the one from 2011 with James Franco.
yeah.
This was a remake of like an original, I think, that came out in like the 80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It looked.
yeah.
I've only seen clips of that, but it's crazy. Like they look like just people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
No,
the
I think I saw my
monkeys and
dad
everything,
watching
so.
it on TV one time when I was like 8. I was like,
Oh,
what
Yeah.
is that?
I think that's like
Uh,
a cult classic, which I'm
Yeah.
not even sure I know I'm not even sure I know what the definition of a cult classic is, but um
Roadhouse.
I think so too. Like
Porky's.
basically like kind of like an ironic people like it, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of people. That's how I describe it at least, but um I think that Planet of the Apes original ones fall in that category.
Yeah. I think cult classic is kind of like, maybe it's not the most critically reviewed, but like the fans of it talk about it with like the passion of like a cult, which is kind of dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of a dark comparison, I guess, but I guess something of that sort.
Not exactly the same, but kind of how we'll always bat for like Star Wars or like Harry Potter. There's just people out there that'll do that for like random movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say like Harry Potter. Yeah, I'd say both of those definitely have a cult following. Like,
Do you
if you're,
think?
Yeah,
But
oh, yeah.
I think the
But
movie
like that,
technically has to be like considered bad.
well, I think
I,
maybe for a cult classic, but I think a cult following, like I would say Star Wars definitely has a cult following.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
so
People
that
dress up like the characters to go to the movie. Like,
Yeah.
I'd say a cult following.
yeah, I was just like comparing the two more, not saying like Star Wars is a cult like I wouldn't label it that. I think it's just a
Right.
franchise that has grown and grown, but like I think it's pretty much how people defend Star Wars. That's how people will defend these just shit movies.
Mm-hmm.
Fast and
Yeah.
Furious, I think that would classify.
Wouldn't defend that if you gave
Like-
me $5 to do it.
But yeah, I think Roadhouse would probably classify as a cult
Yeah.
classic.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a part of the franchise though. It's
Really?
continuing the story, yeah.
Fourth installment?
What is that? The new one you talking about?
Yeah, it comes out next May. So like a year from now,
Glad
2024.
I picked
Oh,
this
okay.
movie. We're gonna be prepared. We can see that in
Yeah.
theaters.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm excited for this one. I actually don't know if I've seen this one like all the way through. Like I feel like I've seen it on FX. Like halfway. I know I've seen
Yes.
the other.
It lives on there.
It
Yeah,
does.
I was gonna say I think I've seen the
Or
other
TNT.
two for sure. Like this was really popular. I don't know if it was just in our friend group, but like when the last one came out,
I saw it like first weekend.
I think I saw
well,
it-
not this one, but the second and third.
I saw the last one I think with you guys in theaters, and it was like
Yeah, that sounds
I thought it was really good, and like I thought like everybody was really into it. Like maybe it was.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Wrong, but-
I'm surprised. I was surprised how much I enjoyed them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Again, I don't want
agree.
to give away my thoughts already.
Yeah,
but
we'll get into it next
yeah,
Right. But either way, I'm excited.
yeah. So yeah, it's a good pick. So we'll watch that next week. Rise of the Planet of the Apes on Hulu. Besides that, you guys watch anything new? I just wrapped up Mandalorian. That finale happened. I don't know. This season was weird.
So behind.
And I think that's the only thing. Succession. I'm watching that. It's been really good. But yeah, besides that, that's it. How about you guys? Anything new?
Not a whole lot. I mean, almost done with the Mindy project. Almost done with Moby Dick. So good things on both accounts there. I think I have like 70 pages of Moby Dick left, so like be sweet to finish it this weekend. And then yeah, I'm watching baseball and trying to keep up with the NHL playoffs. I think those are a lot of fun. Trying to keep up with the NBA playoffs. So yeah, more of the same for me.
I've just been watching random movies. I watched Tower Heist with like Ben
Oh
Stiller
my
and Casey
God.
Affleck.
Yes, I've unfortunately seen that.
Yeah, and then after that I followed that up with another like robbery type movie, Inside Man with
Oh,
Denzel.
Denzel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that was pretty good.
I've actually
Uh,
never seen that. I just know it by the movie poster on streaming.
yeah, it was
Mhm.
it was pretty cool. It definitely has like an early 2000s feel, which I was looking it up after it came out in like 2005 or something. 2006. I'm looking it up right now.
Checks out.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely has like the early 2000s feel, but I really like that movie actually. I'm gonna have to put it on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, love to see it. Yeah, I started watching that movie. It's like Les Miserables or whatever.
Oh
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah.
like you would like it, JD. It's musical.
JD, a
I
musical guy?
still,
Loves
I'm,
them, dude.
I'm making you
I
guys
do
watch
like
Mamma
some.
Mia 1 and 2 at some
Oh,
point.
I've seen number one.
Unfortunately, I've seen them both.
That
What?
was enough for
You
me. But
don't like them?
I hate them. Those are Magda's like favorite show or favorite movies, so we have to watch them a lot.
Often.
But yeah, she loves those. I'm sure she would gladly oblige. She'd probably want to be a guest on this if we
I
watch
wasn't
that.
gonna tell you, but she did pay me to say
I
that. No, I actually really do like those movies. I do kind of like musicals now that you say that.
mean, honestly, I think every Disney movie can kind of classify as a musical too. The
Mhm.
animated
That's
ones,
true.
like
Like
See that
Aladdin type
that's the thing.
movie.
yeah, all of
I
them.
was conditioned to be
Yeah,
this way.
Oh yeah.
I was too. I guess I mean, I don't not like them, but I don't like Mamma Mia. Well, I do know that. I haven't seen the second one though, so
Well,
who
if you don't
knows?
like the first one, I think the first one's pretty
Okay,
good.
then, yeah,
Yeah, the first
it's a
one's
lost
better.
cause at that point. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like we watched West Side Story. I don't know. I just somehow knew JD liked musicals. Maybe it was when we did West Side Story. You mentioned that, but I
Uh,
don't dislike them. I think they're good. Like I couldn't watch them every day. But
no, it's definitely a once in a while type thing.
yeah,
I will say
just like
like
fucking talk, please.
whenever I'm about to watch a musical, I'm like every time I'm like, why am I watching a musical? And then I actually feel like I end up liking it, which is weird because I don't like the musical elements of it. Well, actually, I mean, I like ABBA and I like Mamma Mia because the music, more or less, the story's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. La La Land's like
Yeah,
the one of the
Yeah,
few I like. I love that movie. That I
and like
think are like really good.
there's a few that you could like kind of classify as music, like Stars Born, kinda, but
hmm
like I mean,
Well,
I
if
think
that
I
counts, I mean that's oh
yeah, I was gonna say there's
no.
some that kind of get on like the fringe area of what counts and what doesn't, and
Yeah,
I
because like
think
Rocket Man, but that's also like a
yeah,
biopic, which I love that
Bohemian
movie
yeah,
too.
Rhapsody.
Bohemian
Yeah,
Rhapsody,
that
yeah.
too. Yeah, which
So like
yeah, I wouldn't say those are musicals.
I
I
would say
guess.
like,
I wouldn't say they
but
are.
are they not musicals? Is they're actually just good movies? You know what I mean? Like,
I think if you
Well,
went to like IMDb, you know how it always is like maybe three genres. Those would be like drama, something, and then musical like then. Where I think like
mhm,
uh a Mamma Mia would be like musical
musical
first.
first. Yeah, I think
Musical
well,
that. Yeah.
drama
comedy,
behind it.
musical, romance. That's what it's
Yeah.
as
That,
right now.
Yeah, don't
didn't mean to offend you
don't
with
mess
that.
with JD on his Mamma Mia.
Let's see
Right.
what Rocket Man says. Biography, drama, musical. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that same take with rom-coms, but
But
reverse. Like
that
I
you
think
don't
there's
like them?
some no. I like a lot of rom-coms. There are some movies that people say are rom-coms that I think it's more com-rom. That makes
Yeah,
Mm,
sense.
I agree with that.
that's fair.
Like, for example, I know a lot of people have said Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a rom-com. I think it's at the heart a comedy movie that just happens to have romance in it.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
would say it's a
And
rom com that's really funny. Like I think it's still a rom com. Like I think it's
Uh,
still in that, but it's just funnier than most rom coms.
yeah,
Another one I would say is like Bridesmaids. I think that's funnier than like the romance part. Like if you ask,
I don't even think that's a rom-com.
I mean, it's listed as
I think
comedy
it's just
though.
funny as hell.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
that's what
that
I'm saying.
movie.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like when people talk about rom-coms, I mean that's
They
like
have a
top of the
negative
list.
connotation, I
They
think.
definitely
Not
do.
not even like bad, but like
I blame I,
rom-com.
I
Like,
blame Hallmark because every single Hallmark movie
Yeah.
is the
oh,
exact
I don't
same.
know if that even that's just like
Are those
That's just
even movies?
rom. That's just rom,
that's just rom garbage.
phony rom. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
s-
not good.
I actually die laughing. Those like there's always some big wig that lives in like New York City, and she's always running on the treadmill with the laptop open because you
Gets a
don't have time in the day.
concussion,
Yeah,
then
or like
somehow ends
gets
up in a far away, remote place, falls in love with
yeah
the innkeeper, and then
Dude,
yeah.
I literally like
stays.
I'm not kidding. I saw a Hallmark movie, like Christmas movie, like that is that exact plot.
Oh
Well, I
yeah.
was going based on the last one I saw, so I think
You
that's
like
Probably
going
same.
into the
pretty much it.
movie, like you're 5 minutes in, I could tell you exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just the same every single time.
Like I don't want to shit on them because I feel like Hallmark are very
I
nice
will.
people. Because like all the movies are very
You're only
nice.
thinking that because they make the
Yeah.
cards.
Right, right. 100%. Yeah, they're probably like making a shit ton on us, but um yeah, no, they're movies.
Their movie budget's like $30,000
Oh
and
yeah.
they make like $1 million off each one.
No,
Yeah.
I literally saw my mom was watching this like CBS Sunday morning special thing, and it was literally talking about they were making a Hallmark Christmas movie. But based on their budget, they can only film in July in like Salt Lake City, Utah. So it was literally
Yeah.
like 97 degrees on set, and they had like a fake snow machine, and every person had to wear like a hat and gloves, and like there was
That
like
is terrible.
dehydration risks and everything. Like it was the most miserable experience ever. But like Hallmark was like, well, we have to have it done by Christmas. Like, what do you
Uh,
want?
yeah. All right. Let's throw Crimes Against Humanity into it too.
Nice card people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not.
That all right, that is a tangent right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say we went
That's
we
fair.
went crazy
Way
there.
off the rails.
So we'll have to
Mm-hmm.
save some of that for next week,
Yeah.
and the weeks beyond. But yeah, I think that does it for today, fellas. That was Air and 1986 Billboard hits. Next week, Rise of Planet of the Apes and 1987 Billboard hits. If you are following along at home, yeah, definitely watch slash listen to those along with us. But yeah,
Also, a little teaser for maybe for future episodes. Download New York Times mini crossword puzzle. Do it every
oh
day.
yes, yeah, we have a
Yeah.
running competition with whoever has fastest times for the mini. It's
Mm-hmm.
a big one. I mean, the regular one's a little. I mean, come on, that's too much.
Oh,
I
So
think it costs
the
money
mini's
too.
quick and easy.
I think it does
That
cost
too,
money.
yeah. Unless you actually still get the paper, but
Yeah.
no one does. Uh, but yeah, so I'm sure we'll be talking about that as well. We can give an update of who's in the lead next week. But yeah, I think that does it, fellas. But to everyone else, yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys
See you
next
guys.
week.